All right, y'all, I think we're gonna get started. So if anybody is here from the Food Science Club, if you don't know me, my name's Abby Bryant. I'm the president of SNDA. And so welcome to our meeting. And we're gonna have Katelyn from the University of Alabama talk to us today about her research. And she has a little presentation for us. So Katelyn, if you wanna take it away, it's all yours.
Well, first, I'd just like to start by saying thanks for the invitation to speak. I know LSU were kind of a rival, but love Dr. McKinley and my research mentor herself, Dr. Crow White. Her family's big LSU fans. So I was happy to come and talk with you guys. So I'm just going to kind of share my journey into research. I'm not a dietitian, but I am in nutrition research and pursuing the nutrition path. So I just wanted, again, showcase where I started and how exactly I found myself in research, because something I've learned along the way, and I've heard this is kind of a common thing, is that a lot of undergrads don't really realize what research is, or you find out maybe a little bit too late and you're not sure if that's a career you want to pursue. So I just want to highlight what it really encompasses, especially from the nutrition perspective. So I'm a PhD candidate, my fourth year at the University of Alabama in human nutrition. I'm hoping to wrap up this year and officially graduate in December. So that's very exciting life change, followed by hopefully more training though in a postdoc. But so just to start, I started undergrad. I've been at the University of Alabama for a long time because PhD wasn't initially in the plan. But I started as a nutrition and biology pre-med student. And I was really eager to learn more about nutrition, not necessarily pursuing the RD credentials at that time, but because I know how important nutrition is in the prevention and management of chronic disease. And you don't get a lot of nutrition training in the medical degree program. So I thought if I could learn all of this in undergrad and bring it with me, that would be very advantageous in my role as a physician. So for most of my years, though, I really only had clinical experience. I stayed away from most research just because I was under the impression from just other pre-meds that research had to be like your hard science research. Like you're always in a lab, you're always under a microscope, something like that. And I dabbled in some food insecurity research early on, but I didn't necessarily recognize that that's what nutrition research could be like. I was still under the impression that research was just, you're always in the lab, you're always working under a microscope, etc. And then that all changed my junior year of college. As I went into my M&T classes, I learned that I really liked to learn about cardiovascular disease and prevention. And one day I just decided to go and visit one of my professor's office hours and just chat, because I worked in the emergency department. I have this photo up here. Worked in the emergency department. And so I would see so many cases coming in of myocardial infarctions or just heart disease related problems. So I wanted to talk through, how can we make nutrition have a bigger role in the prevention and treatment of these problems? And so we got to talking, and I just will remember this conversation forever, because I remember saying, I just wish we had some nutrition research ongoing with cardiovascular health so I could kind of see what that's like. And Dr. Ellis was excited because they had just been awarded an AHA grant from the American Heart Association to look at watermelon juice in vascular function in postmenopausal women. And so she was excited about this new study, and I was excited to just learn that we had this kind of research in our department. And so that was my first experience with research. I started that summer, and it was just a great experience. You can kind of see on the right side of the screen, took one of our collages, our many collages. You see we have some watermelon juice here. It involves sensory testing. And then we just had a small research team. So I'm not going into the nitty gritty with this study, but big picture, what we looked at was how 100% watermelon juice could influence vascular function in postmenopausal women. Because a compound in this watermelon juice, lycopene, is a very potent antioxidant and known to influence vascular function. And this was kind of my first experience with research, and it made me realize that research isn't just spent in the lab. You do have that clinical component, and I was able to be very hands-on in both working with research participants, but I also got to develop the placebo. which is very challenging to develop a placebo drink that tastes like watermelon juice, but not artificial watermelon. I'm sure we all know what artificial watermelon products taste like. And so it's just nice having a good blend of kind of a food science component in that placebo development, but also clinical research, because I got to, again, interact with participants regularly and see the clinical outcome measures like cognition, vascular function, et cetera, in our labs. So that led to me deciding to pursue my master's in human nutrition. And I was still on the pre-med track at this point. I wanted to take a gap year to just pursue that interest of research a little bit more and also get some more clinical experience in the hospital, because I did really like that part of the pre-med track. And this was a similar vein in that I researched lycopene, but now instead of in humans, we went back to an animal model. And specifically, we were looking at obesity's influence on lycopene bioavailability. So like I mentioned, lycopene is a potent antioxidant found most commonly in your watermelon juice, but also tomato products. And because it is found in common foods that we consume, it's very well established that it influences these measures positively, but it's also been hypothesized that in obesity, lycopene may not be as effective because lycopene is a lipophilic compound. It's thought that excess adipose tissue will sequester that lycopene from circulation, rendering it inactive. So a person with obesity might consume watermelon juice, but if you have the excess adipose tissue, the lycopene might just be sequestered. And so you're not getting the benefits that a lean person would get from watermelon juice. And so this is what this image kind of showcases, is our hypothesis that you would consume lycopene, the adipose tissue would sequester that lycopene, and too much of a good thing turns out into a bad thing. So too much lycopene will have a pro-oxidant effect, leading to increased oxidative stress in the adipose tissue, which we'll then see in circulation. So ultimately, this could be a bad thing. If you're consuming lycopene, it's sequestered, and then we see excess oxidative stress in circulation. So we examined this in an animal model with obese and lean rats. And what we observed, which thankfully disproved our hypothesis, which normally you don't want to see, but in this case, it was positive. What we saw was that despite our obese rats having excess adipose tissue, there was no adipose tissue did not significantly sequester the lycopene, and oxidative stress in the adipose tissue was comparable to our lean rats. And then in circulation, we also saw that lycopene levels were comparable. So this just showcased that adipose tissue did not act to sequester that lycopene, and these lycopene interventions can be beneficial in individuals with obesity. So this was just an important step in further researching the adiposity trap hypothesis, because the hypothesis I previously mentioned has been proven with other compounds. So it's good to see that it's not occurring with lycopene, and we can move forward with hopefully improved interventions. And so that year of my master's pretty much sold me in getting a PhD in human nutrition. And it's not very common to stay at one university for all of your degrees. But what I heard, or I went to several individuals for advice, and what I was told is the most important part of a PhD is finding a research mentor that you have a good relationship with and that also has a research area that matches your own. And I found that at the University of Alabama. Dr. Christy Crow-White is my PhD mentor, and we mesh well. Our research is very similar. And so I decided to stay here rather than go to another program for my PhD. And my general research area now is investigating dietary bioactive compounds and their influence on redox and inflammatory stress in the context of cardiometabolic health. I also look at some of the factors that mediate that, the beneficial effects of bioactive compounds like obesity, mentioned in the previous slide, as well as the oral microbiome, which I will get into on these next slides. Okay, so before I delve into this slide, I'm sure you all have heard of dietary nitrate. It's really demonized in the media. It's said to cause cancer, but that's very rare. It's usually that outcome is attributed to cooking bacon at very high temperatures, because then the nitrate can form carcinogenic compounds. What we're interested in is the dietary nitrate found in your green leafy vegetables, which is really the most common source of nitrate. And so why is nitrate beneficial? It comes back to the enterosalivary pathway. And I just want to explain this before discussing my dissertation research, just so that mechanism makes a little bit more sense. So when you consume your green leafy vegetables, like it's found in arugula, lettuce, beets, excuse me, it's digested and absorbed. And fun fact, nitrate has 100% bioavailability. So all of that nitrate is absorbed into your system. And so nitrate makes its way into circulation. Well, then about 25% of that circulating nitrate is concentrated in your salivary glands and then secreted into your oral cavity. So just like your gut microbiome, you have an oral microbiome. So you have good and bad bacteria in your mouth. And some bacteria, the good bacteria, is responsible for taking that nitrate and converting it to nitrite. And this is a very important activation step in the enterosalivary pathway. So now that bacteria has converted your nitrate to nitrite, you have nitrite-rich saliva that most commonly you swallow, and the low pH of your stomach facilitates its conversion to the vasodilatory molecule nitric oxide. And I'm sure we're all aware that nitric oxide is a very potent vasodilatory molecule important for blood pressure regulation. So this nitric oxide then diffuses into circulation to hopefully improve your blood pressure. And although it's not really on the slide, I do want to showcase that another pathway that this nitrite can take, rather than going to the stomach, is that it can actually be absorbed from your oral cavity into circulation, because we just have a thin layer of epithelial cells separating the oral mucosa from systemic circulation. And nitrite is a compound that can traverse that membrane. And so we are taking, for my research, an intervention that you hold in your mouth and acting on that pathway, so that nitrite from the mouth will then reach circulation. Okay, so to put my dissertation research, which will be on the next slide, into context, I just wanted to put the enterosalivary pathway's importance into context, which stems from a systematic review that my mentor and I conducted before doing this research. So we all know it's pretty common to use a mouth rinse for good oral hygiene. But with mouth rinse, it really can't differentiate between that good and bad bacteria. So when you use a common mouth rinse that's alcohol-based or has chlorhexidine in it, which is very common, it clears your mouth of both good and bad bacteria. And so you're getting rid of that nitrate-reducing bacteria. And so you're not going to be able to capitalize on that nitrate intervention anymore. And so that was the hypothesis, and bringing all the literature together, it's exactly what we saw, was that mouth rinse only interventions. So when we compared mouth rinse users to non-mouth rinse users in an intervention or a clinical trial, mouth rinse users experienced a 2 to 3 point increase in systolic blood pressure. And while that might not seem like a whole lot, that can translate into a 7% increased risk of cardiovascular events just from the simple act of using a mouth rinse. We also saw changes in nocturnal blood pressure, which is just important because you do want lower blood pressure at night to help your body recover from the stressors of the day. And so both of these, just from simple mouth rinse use, are important and something we want to combat with our intervention. And then just highlighting another component of this systematic review. So with a nitrate intervention, you're supposed to see increased salivary and plasma nitrate levels and a reduction in blood pressure. But when that nitrate intervention was paired with a mouth rinse, you didn't see those benefits. So the importance of the enterosalivary pathway can be just completely negated by mouth rinse use. And that kind of set the stage for my current research. which is called or entitled Mouth Rinses Infused with Nitrates, Nitrites, and Antioxidants to Support the Enterosalivary Pathway for Oral and Vascular Health, also known as the RINSE study, because we love acronyms in our department, and I think across the Nutrition Research Board. And so I just want to briefly highlight this mouth rinse. So it's a bioactive mouth rinse. So we are infusing nitrate and nitrite and antioxidants into a green tea-based mouth rinse to provide the substrate for that enterosalivary pathway, and also to help just reduce oxidative stress in the oral cavity as well. And something that's important to note is that this mouth rinse does not contain any alcohol or chlorhexidine, so we're also preserving the oral microbiome at the same time. And the overall goal is to reduce instances of periodontal disease by reducing salivary oxidative stress. But more importantly, we want to reduce blood pressure by providing nitrate in this intervention. Okay, before I go on to the next slide. And so this study we're currently conducting data collection right now. I actually just finished a day of data collection for this study. And I'm hoping to wrap up by April, but preliminary results are very supportive of the benefits of this bioactive mouth rinse. We have seen a reduction in blood pressure from this mouth rinse compared to our control and chlorhexidine groups. So that's very exciting thus far. But it's just been really neat to be able to combine a food science component of that bioactive mouth rinse, because I've spent months developing this in the lab, and then see it put into action with clinical measures of blood pressure. So that's kind of the bulk of my PhD research right now. It's the RINSE study and conducting data collection for that. But PhD is never just one project. I feel like there's always a lot going on. So I wanted to highlight a few other things that went into this or has gone into it. So I've received a few different grants to support this research. The main project is, I don't have it listed on the screen actually, but the main project is supported by the Colgate-Palmolive Company through a research grant through Colgate and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And then I've had some grants that have led to the development of mouth rinse. So one from the DIFM DPG, which was to develop the mouth rinse. And then I also received a grant from Mead Johnson and the Research Dietetic Practice Group, which is to characterize the oral microbiome for optimal blood pressure. And so just briefly, this kind of is similar to my dissertation research, but we're looking to just do a cross-sectional study where human participants come in. We look and characterize their oral microbiome through some analysis that I'm not going to get into all of that here, but basically we can get a breakdown of what bacteria is in their mouth, and then look at what oral microbiome composition is associated with the best blood pressure. And we want to kind of pick out which bacteria are most commonly associated with healthy blood pressure, and hopefully use that data to further develop our mouth rinse by including probiotics for a better oral microbiome. And that is an in-progress study. All of this has been drawn out a little bit because of COVID, but it's exciting times nonetheless. And then lastly, this is not directly related to the mouth rinse, but it showcases another way of researching dietary nitrate. So I'm an investigator on a study where we are giving nitrate to obese mothers and seeing how that influences cardiometabolic outcomes in offspring compared to obese rats not receiving this intervention. And we are also in the process of data collection for this. However, we have not gotten to our nitrate groups yet, so I don't have any preliminary findings to share there. But it's just exciting to just be the first to conduct these kind of studies and to put nitrate in a positive light and just highlight the benefits of dietary nitrate. I'm excited for all of these projects to continue progressing and see what happens. Okay, so that's kind of my path to research in a nutshell, how it started, where I'm at now. And whether or not you're pursuing a research career or even interested, I just wanted to provide some advice to you all. So this may sound cliche, and I know everyone always said this to me in undergrad, but attending office hours, don't be afraid to attend office hours. That's why I'm that's why I'm here where I am today, because of just going to talk about an area of interest. And that led me to a research project, and the rest is history. So if you're interested in a topic, just don't be afraid to go seek your professors out to just learn a little bit more, maybe see if there's research that you can get involved with. But just don't be afraid to attend those office hours. This next one, I love this one. Just don't count out research until you've tried it again and again. There's so many different areas that you can conduct research in, especially nutrition research. The first project you work in might not be the area for you, because maybe you don't like the lab work, or maybe you don't want to just do survey research, or maybe you don't want to work in a clinical setting. It's just good to kind of look in different areas if that first project makes you not, if you don't really love it. So just don't count it out right away. This next one, if you do decide to pursue research, spend time making sure you're with the right mentor. It's really important having someone that roots for your success and is able to provide you with opportunities to grow as a student and in academia. I've been very blessed to have a great research mentor that has given me opportunities to just get involved in so many different areas of research. That's helped me to cultivate a good research area that combines my food science interests as well as clinical interests. And that's not going to happen overnight. So just really spend time finding a good mentor. This next one is just seek out awards and apply, whether it's research related or just scholarships in general. Most of my work thus far has been supported by research grants that I've applied for and been awarded. And it's fun. It's fun trying to sell your research, why you deserve the funding, because I might know it's a very important area, but you need to convince others that it's important too. And it's kind of like a fun game. Once you've been in research for a while, I guess it becomes fun, but also don't be discouraged if you don't receive these grants or scholarships right away. The first time I applied for my big Colgate grant, I didn't receive it. But the second time I had time to refine that grant and kind of make it even better study. And then I was awarded the grant. And so it just takes time and refinement, but don't be discouraged and just continue applying. And then lastly, if research isn't for you, it's good to be familiar with research and how to best use it for your practice. Because as a dietitian, the field is constantly evolving, and you're going to need to stay up to date with the latest trends that clients may present to you or the newest interventions for hospital setting. So just don't shy away from research, even if it's not your area. Just learn how to best incorporate it into your practice. And that's all I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have, but thanks for attending.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a quick question. I wanted to ask, what would be your preference of research? I know you're doing food science and nutrition, and you mentioned like the food security and insecurity research. So what type of research would you say would be the most beneficial for nutrition sciences, if there even is a most beneficial one? Because like you said, they're all important and they all help with dietetics.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, for the general profession in general, I wouldn't say there's one that's most important. What's something I really like about our program is we focus on translational nutrition research, which is from bench to bedside to the clinic and community. And so it kind of incorporates all areas of nutrition. Basically, from bench, you need the bench research to figure out what interventions might be most effective. And then you take that to the bedside. So is it going to actually work in a human population? And then if that's proven to work, then you take it to the community. Is this feasible to even implement? And so you need all areas to really get it from its idea state to its implementation state. But the best area of nutrition research is going to be personal to you, which one you actually want to pursue, which really just depends on the area you work in and what your interests are. But all areas are really needed to make progress.
Yeah, Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question. I know you've been doing research for a while now, so once you do obtain your PhD, what do you want to do with your career now that you are now also like delved into research, but also kind of went pre-med?
So I'm still thinking of pursuing a track in academia. So I'd like to continue doing research, but also teaching. It all depends on what the job market looks like when I graduate, but that's the goal. But the pre-med, I was just talking with someone about this today. The pre-med path was really helpful in just helping me get a better grasp on human anatomy and physiology and just various areas of human science like genetics and cell biology, which just kind of gave me a really solid foundation for understanding the mechanisms of nutrition interventions or some of the more bioactive mechanisms. But you definitely don't need a pre-med path or pre-med curriculum to pursue research. I did consider, though, going to medical school. That was my original plan, was still MD, PhD, but at this point, it's been a lot of school. So I'm just excited to graduate and then start contributing to the field as an independent investigator, and then hopefully teaching students and encouraging them to join research as well.
Katelyn, I remember when you said you wanted to go to PA school and then it went back to MD, then it went back, maybe a dietitian, and then every time I saw her, I'm like, what do you want to do this week?
It changed. It's always been generally health, but yeah, it's definitely changed. And I think my path just shows that you don't have to have it all figured out, especially when you're first starting. I think my freshman year, I thought I had to stick with exactly what I chose. And really my senior year and my master's year are when I figured out exactly what I wanted to do. And even now I'm about to graduate with my PhD, and there are still a couple directions I'm considering taking, whether it be academia or potentially an industry job. So it just really depends on, as I conduct more research, I find areas that I'm even more interested in and where the opportunities to continue that research lie.
Any more questions? All right, well, I think that's it, but thank you so much, Katelyn, for coming. It was very interesting. And if there's no more questions, then I think you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katelyn.
Thank you.
Keep me posted on graduation plans.
I will. I'm entertaining the Pennington Biomedical Research Center. I'd love to do a postdoc there. So I'm trying to start working connections there.
Some of these students are more connected there than I am. So you let me know who you need to talk to.
Thank you.
Let me share.
All right, y'all. Abby's got a bunch of stuff we got to talk about membership wise.
All right, so these are the rest of our dates. We only have 2 meetings left on Zoom, 4:30 Tuesday, always. And then if you just joined for the spring, if you haven't paid your dues yet, do that ASAP. And then a whole bunch of stuff going on for National Nutrition Month, which is in March. So I'm going to let Dr. McKinley talk a little bit more about this in detail.
Okay. So I'm going to try to do what I did last year with the interactive calendar that will have links to things throughout the month. So that's not done yet, as we're kind of finalizing a few things. And then it ends up getting updated as the month goes on. But we'll definitely send that out while y'all are on break. So we might have a second meeting in March where someone has a mentor that we might be able to book for a second meeting, since it's National Nutrition Month. So that'd be like a speaker only thing, but we'll keep you posted. So RDN Day or RD Day is always on March 9th. So I'm thinking, if weather permitting, maybe doing like a free speech alley table event. We haven't done one since the day before lockdown 2 years ago. And so I can probably still find stuff in the closet to give out as far as hand sanitizer. But maybe doing something that day just to kind of promote the profession, promote some whatever the National Nutrition Month theme is this year. It's a world full of flavors or something like that. So we can print out like stuff from the academy to hand out to folks and hand out snacks and whatnot. We always capitalize on Ag Week being in March as well. And so I've added all of the events that kind of make sense for us to the calendar as well. And that includes a service event if you're looking for service stuff to do. Brand has a speaker on the 24th, actually two folks, two RDs that work in dialysis and renal care. And so they're putting together a talk for that evening that will be on my Zoom like it normally is. And then I'm thinking since it is National Nutrition Month, maybe doing some sort of brand and SNDA networking social. I just kind of have to get with the brand folks to see what the best day may be. March is tough because we actually have a spring break this year. Last year we didn't, so we had the whole month to work with. So if that doesn't happen in March, we'll definitely have a brand social at some point before graduation. And so we can include SNDA from there. And then last year, no one took me up on this offer here. I am totally open to like taking over our Instagram account. If you want to talk about yourself, talk about being a student in the program, being an SNDA, an aspect of nutrition that you're really interested in. If you want to go through the toolkit for the National Nutrition Month and pick images that you like and kind of talk about them. If there's like an area of nutrition that you already are kind of working in already, I'm totally down for that. So there's going to be a link in the calendar to sign up just to have a day, and I'll send you the password info, and you can kind of do whatever you want within reason. You know what I mean? So no one did that last year except maybe a couple exec board members. And then another thing, I'm going to try to plan a couple of the lunchtime lives, the Instagram lives with some RDs like I did last year. That seemed to go over very well. I just have to email some folks and kind of see availability. So I'll probably do a couple of those as well. And if you guys find stuff out there that like a webinar or an event, just send it to me and I can add it to the calendar.
All right, Cameron, can you talk about this, or do you want me to do it?
Oh, I can do that.
Okay.
So Miss Motley is going to do a produce give back. She has a farmer who's going to give us some produce. So someone is going to pick up that produce, and we're going to meet at the Rouse's in Zachary at 9 a.m. I just got those details, so it's not on this, but I will send an email about it. So that'll be a volunteer opportunity in March. And then also we're going to do a food drive for both of the community fridges. And we'll probably split those up. You can also I think we're going to be able to, you can Venmo as well, and we can also drop off at, I think it's Dr. McKinley's office outside that, and then the food lab. And then I'm not sure about the Ag Magic, the specifics on it, but I think there's a nutrition table or something.
Yes, this is the link if you want to make sure that you volunteer to help with the nutrition folks, not just signing in or doing stuff with the animals, for the bugs.
Yeah, and that's the dates and the times of stuff. So there you go. Okay. Cassie, you want to talk about this?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to be doing the Easter baskets. We're going to do the assembly of them on March 30th. And what's the time, Dr. McKinley?
3 to 4:30.
Okay, 3 to 4:30. And then we don't know when the delivery is going to be, but I'm thinking it's definitely going to be on March 31st, and it should be in the morning-ish time, but I don't have that official yet. And then so we're looking for healthy-ish things for the Easter basket. We have an Amazon wish list, and there's 5 to 6 items on there. So if you want to go look at it, that might give you some ideas of healthy snacks like goldfish, healthier type gummies, granola bars, things like that. And then maybe coloring books that are Easter related, or Easter stickers, some fun things that a child might like in their Easter basket. And then I think that's
the link to the wish list will be on the calendar when I send that.
Okay, student employee spotlights. Olivia, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so I thought of a fun thing for the Instagram. Just kind of wanting to spread the word on like undergrad employee opportunities. I know we have a lot of like performance nutrition, the Aspen Clinic, anything that you think is related to the healthcare field. Just go ahead and shoot me an email with all the details on it, and then I'm gonna do a post, maybe two. It'll probably be like multiple people in one post. So yeah, just something fun that I think could be good for all of the other people and that follow us.
Alrighty. All right.
You go. So I thought it was most appropriate to award February Member of the Month to Courtney after her passing, because she was a really awesome member of the group. And I feel she probably would have gotten recognized at some point before the end of the school year. So that's what I did. So I put that together and gave that to her parents when we attended back. And it's not official yet, but Courtney should be receiving her degree with the seniors. It would be awarded to her parents. And so it's not just mentioning her, but she will receive a diploma. It's just a matter of paperwork with LSU. So we're happy that will be happening. But yeah, we thought this was the most appropriate for February.
Okay.
And yay, scholarships. So we did scholarships this year for the seniors like we did last year. And so we had 3 recipients for the DICUS and D&D scholarships. And so Lakeland, Macy, and Cameron. Sorry, I didn't use the photo that you emailed me. I just grabbed one I had. They each received a $105 scholarship to help pay for the $55 D&D fee, and then the $50 for the first program that they applied to, even though all of them applied to more than one program. But awesome job on that, and awesome job to all of the seniors for getting their applications in on time.
All right. All right. So I made this before I got an email today, but we're gonna do another t-shirt. Just like this will just be like a quick, simple, like it's gonna just be one t-shirt. It won't be like last time when we had like 10 different things you could pick from. So we were thinking for on the front, this is the original color that we had picked, just to like do something different from the purple, gold, gray, black, all of that we always do. But this color isn't available, so we have to pick a new one. So if anybody has any suggestions, you can either put them in the chat or send us an email or something. We're just trying to like do something different. So we wanted to do a pocket tee. And so the one on the left, like the circle logo, we were going to do on the front chest and then put the LSU on the back. It's not going to be like gray and white like that. That's just what I could find to get the letters. It would just all be in white on the back. So I'm talking to Red Stick right now about finding a shirt that is available. But if y'all have any colors that y'all have in mind, we're trying to stick to comfort colors. So if you want to like look up the colors for that. And if we end up having to do it like without the pocket and just put the logo, like that's fine too. But so that's in the works. We'll hopefully have it ready for March so that y'all can purchase your t-shirts. Okay. All right. And then board elections. So next year's school year will be here before you know it. So we have a couple open positions. So president-elect, so Cassie's the president-elect right now. She'll be the president next year. So that slot will be open. But you have to be like, you're going to be a current sophomore or freshman because you'll be going into your sophomore or junior year. So that way you have like another year to be the president the next year. We have the secretary position open and the treasurer position open. So all you're going to, and then current board member. Oh wait, no, that's okay. So if you want to apply, just send a paragraph to us at the email at the bottom, just telling us like why you want to be elected to one of the positions and what skills you have to get the job done. And then we'll also need a headshot or like just a photo of you by March 21st. So I just want to say, if you aren't that involved in SNDA and you think that like never in a million years would you have a board spot, like don't think that, because I was the same way and then I just did it and like here I am. So just bite the bullet and do it. It's worth it. And you get a lot of good experience and networking opportunities, and it's a good time. And then that link right there, it'll be in the email, but that has like the full descriptions of each position. So you'll be able to see that too. What's this? Oh, okay. So these are awards. They'll be emailed out on qualifications of how to get nominated, but we'll have the Tiger to Tiger Mentor of the Year, Academic Excellence Award, the Emerging SNDA Leader Award, and then our Member of the Year, which this is the first time we're doing that. And then we'll have the same service awards that we normally have. So just make sure that you're logging your service as you're doing it on the link that's in the Google Drive, taking pictures, all of that good stuff. And then seniors will choose a Faculty Member of the Year. So we'll vote on that too. Do you have anything else to say about that?
No, just that those 4 up top, I wanted to create more opportunities for y'all to be recognized for stuff. So once I come up with the bullet points of what qualifications there are, I know with like emerging SNDA leader, that's going to be for like a freshman or sophomore. Early, a lot of folks don't end up doing a lot with SNDA until later, so that's kind of maybe incentivize students in future years to get more involved early on. And then academic excellence awards, obviously that's going to be based off of like GPA and involvement. And then Tiger to Tiger Mentor of the Year will be obviously one of your mentee will have to nominate you if you're a mentor in that program.
Cool. All right, and that's pretty much it. So as always, here's all of our stuff online, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. And then, all right, well, I guess we're good to go. And you'll get an email from Lindsay with all of that information either today or tomorrow. And then when I have an update on the t-shirt stuff, I'll send that out too. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. But if you come up with any questions, just email one of us. But other than that, I think we're good to go.